Major General in the United States Army. Ladies and gentlemen, General Bill Chen.
Thank you, Rob, for that nice introduction. I'm honored to be here to be a part of this dedication in honor of Private Wing O Alm. Private Alm entered service in March of 1943, and at that time, the discriminatory aspects of the Chinese Exclusion Act were still in place and not repealed until December of 1943. The Chinese Exclusion Act made Chinese immigrants, permanent Asians, excluded from citizenship. Yet Private Home served. He demonstrated his loyalty and patriotism, and he defended the freedom that we so much enjoy. The Congressional Gold Medal Act, awarding the Congressional Gold Medal to Chinese American World War II veterans, was enacted in December of 2018. The Congressional Gold Medal is the highest award, the highest civilian award given by Congress, and also the highest award that reflects the national appreciation for distinguished accomplishments and actions. So Private Hom is a recipient of the Congressional Gold Medal, like the 20,000 Chinese Americans that served in World War II. I found that there are three areas of commonality between Private Hom and my family. Number one, Private Hom immigrated from Hoi Ping in Guangdong province. And that's my ancestral home, where my grandfather immigrated from Hoi Ping in 1878, 145 years ago. Number two, Private Hom was excluded from American citizenship, just like my grandfather, because of the Chinese Exclusion Act. No citizenship, he couldn't vote, he couldn't own property. Number three, Private Hom was a veteran of World War II, just like my father, who was a World War II veteran, a pilot in the 14th Air Force China-Burma India Theater. And so, as we reflect upon our forefathers, and particularly our Chinese American World War II veterans, they enabled us in the follow-on generation to be a part of mainstream America and live the American dream. I want to thank Ken Hom for his unwavering actions to get answers to his uncle's status. And finally, almost 80 years after he was killed in action, we have closure. I was also honored and privileged to be a part of the Greater New York Congressional Gold Medal Award ceremony, where we presented the Congressional Gold Medal to living veterans and next of kin in the Greater New York area. And that's where Ken Hom, on behalf of his uncle, received his uncle's Congressional Gold Medal. Here at this Hero Square and in the plaque behind me, we have a record and tribute to Private Hom, his service and his sacrifices for all of us in the Boston area to see, as well as the many visitors that pass through this Chinatown gateway. So to the city of Boston, thank you for honoring and recognizing Private Home.
Thank you, General. Right now, City Council President Flynn mentioned them. The Chinatown Post 328. There are a lot of members who are here today in to honor and recognize Wing Oh Hum. And Matt Sato, who's a commander, him and I, we actually went down to New York to go and on behalf of Boston to honor and recognize Wing Oh Hum at his funeral, as well as his interment. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to call up here Matt Sato, Commander of the American Legion Post.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you to the City of Boston Veteran Services for hosting this dedication. Thank you to City Council President Ed Flynn for coming, Major General Chen, and of course Ken Ham and Nancy for coming all the way from New York. And also want to recognize all the community leaders and organizations here, CCBA, the Chulin Family Association, and many other community leaders that are here for this very important event. Last Wednesday, as Commissioner mentioned, me and the Commissioner, we went down to New York City to attend Wing Oh Hum's funeral service. And the attendance there was extraordinary. The Kim Lau Post was there, the Seattle Post was there, and many other local community leaders and organizations and individuals was there to really recognize one of their own. And here in Boston, I want to say I love this turnout because this is what it's all about. It's about our community. It's about recognizing the individuals, the heroes that's within our community, and that is something that we all should applaud and praise. We have a Hero Square now for Wing Oh Hum. As the Commissioner mentioned, we also have Georgia Hero Square, and there's also a James Wong Hero Square in the intersection of Beach and Harrison. These are 3 Chinese American names, World War II heroes, out of the 20,000 plus Chinese Americans that served during World War II. Many of them, 40% of them, were not recognized and could not be American citizens because of the Chinese Exclusion Act. Understand that story. Many of them did not become citizens, but continued to serve, continued to devote themselves to this country and wore the uniform and served and sacrificed. And many of them served overseas in combat. And many of them did not make it home like Private Hum. Think about this story. As you look at these names on these hero squares, they all have a story. And we must all learn their story so we can share with the next generation. Because oftentimes in the American history books, these names are left out. Our stories are not told. And especially within the Chinatown community, we need to learn how to tell our own stories and share it with everyone else in this world. So I want to thank Private Hum for coming up all the way from New York City. I know that Wing Oh Hum and his family lived here in Boston when they first immigrated to this country. So from Hoi Ping to immigrate to Boston, Massachusetts, to enlisting into the U.S. Army, Company Bravo, 7th Infantry Regiment's 3rd Infantry Division. Died at 20 years old. As you heard, his birthday is January 10th, 1924. A month later, he died. But think about that. Such a young man that did not get to live his life and enjoy what it is today, that we have today. And much of that is this Chinatown community, the freedom that we get to experience, and the right to be called U.S. citizens. So thank you to the Hum family, thank you to Private Hum for his service, and to everyone else that's here to honor him. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Oh, wow, that... Together here, get myself together. It's really a great honor to see all you guys out here and do tribute of my uncle. Good afternoon, everyone.
Can you hold the mic closer?
Commissioner Santiago.
Put your mic closer.
Thank you, Commissioner Santiago, Council President Ed Flynn, Councilor Erin Murphy, retired
Major General William Chen, American Legion Post 328 Commander Matthew Cito, and Chaplain NA of the VA Boston Healthcare. Thank you for this prestigious honor. I am Kenneth Hom, nephew of Private Wing O. Hom, the man's whose life and homecoming we celebrate here today in your great city of Boston. Wing and my father, Wong, were brothers, and their family was part of a major immigration wave of Chinese nationals to the United States during the 1930s. For many, including us Homs, this leap of faith was partially in response to the Second Sino-Japanese War, the conflict that had destroyed their home and parts of their village. Leaving one of the oldest cultures in history for one of the youngest, they were eager for a promising new start that was free from chaos that raced across their country. While their choice to immigrate was a proactive one, they knew that they would be facing varying levels of prejudice, resistance, and a growing nativism amongst Americans. Their desire for a better life surpassed any fears and showcased a determination to create a new life and in turn contribute to their newly chosen country. Uncle Wing had spent only a handful of years on American soil before, in March 1943, he enlisted into the United States Army. The same year, the Chinese Exclusion Act was finally repealed. Barely out of his teens, my 20-year-old uncle accepted the overwhelming challenges before him to fight the evils of intolerance and oppression overseas, and to do his part in ending what eventually became the deadliest conflict in human history. True to his character, he did not because he had to, but it was the right thing to do. For you see, from family members who knew him, Wing truly and genuinely loved America. After completing his basic training at Alabama's Fort McClellan, Wing was quickly assigned to Company B, 7th Infantry Regiment, 3rd Infantry Division, where he was one of 35 Chinese Americans that served in that division. Uncle Wing was then later deployed to Italy. On January 30th, 1944, an intense battle near the town of Cisterna de Latina took place as part of the Battle of Anzio, which had begun days earlier. The Battle of Cisterna was fought against predominantly German troops, with Uncle Wing's unit participating, and brought about a high number of casualties to the Allied forces. After 4 days of brutal attacks, Cisterna was clearly a victory for the Germans, and in February 1944, Uncle Wing was declared missing in action. Despite multiple efforts, locating his whereabouts were unsuccessful. He was not listed as a German prisoner of war, and unfortunately was among the many American bodies which were never recovered. After a year of searching, in February 1945, the War Department issued a finding of death. Not only did my grandparents lose their firstborn, they died never fully knowing what had happened to their son. Fast forward to 2019 Memorial Day. On Instagram, I posted my respects and appreciation for those who had served and fallen in war. In October of that year, 2019, I heard from Miss Marcy Bernulo, a genealogist working on behalf of the Defense POW-MIA accounting agency, who had been directing her research towards unresolved American losses during the Battle of Anzio. Apparently, in her query, found my post and contacted me. It seems that she came upon data regarding a set of unidentified remains that were laid to rest in the Sicily-Rome American Cemetery in Nettuno, Italy, and was hopeful of a connection to Wing. Sometime later in December 2019, I was contacted to submit a DNA sample. A series of complex mitochondrial DNA testing and analysis followed. On April 6, 2023, my family's dream, fueled by our unwavering hope, after 79 years, was finally realized. Wing Oham was no longer missing in action or non-recoverable, but instead accounted for. He is now home. My beloved uncle was one of nearly 20,000 Chinese Americans who served their country in World War II. This represented close to a staggering 25% of their population in America, the highest percentage of service among any American ethnic community. Ours was the last minority community to be recognized for its service during the World War II by receiving the Congressional Gold Medal only in April 2020. That's 75 years after the official end of World War II. Today's wonderful memorial is a celebration of one honorable life, but it represents many. In closing, my family and I wish to thank the people, agencies, and organizations that have helped in making this day possible. Among them are the Defense WWII Accounting Agency, the Association of the United States Army, the Chinese American Citizens Alliance, the Chinese American World War II Veterans Recognition Project, the American Legion New York City Kim Lau Post, the American Legion Boston Chinatown Post 328, the City of Boston Office of Veteran Services, the Boston Army Recruiting Command, and the great city of Boston. And this is coming from a New Yorker. Thank you.